I call the marijuana review team meeting to order. Opening the meeting. So on the agenda, we have a review Eddie Flowers application, 23 Ridge State. And they're looking for a license for retail, cultivation, and manufacturing. So we put on the agenda 3 licenses. I believe it's 1 license, but we can discuss that as we forward. So there's 3 parts to it. There's a retail part, a cultivation, and a manufacturing. So just for a little bit of background, we met with Eddie's Flowers back on October 6th, 2020. We allowed them to schedule a community outreach meeting. That outreach meeting was on December 1st, 2020. So they had originally sent us an application, so we had them resubmit the application after the community outreach meeting, and they did that on 3/25/21. So here we are today on March 9th, 2021 to discuss the application and to see whether we want to move them forward for a host community agreement with the TA and the Board of Selectmen. So with that, David, do you want to start off with saying anything?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we actually forwarded some renderings from the architect that we're, definitely be using for the project. And I think Mary hopefully forwarded them to you. And basically there were concerns about the parking and everything. And, we discussed the whole overall plan. And the architect felt that we had plenty of room if we design it right to put any cultivation connected with the back of the building, the main store, which would actually make things a lot easier logistically. So they made some designs with that and added the parking on the side. So, basically, I think that may answer some of the questions that some folks had before about, parking and everything.
They're going to upload. This is Tom Maestros, architect of Stolen Lee, who just been recently retained by the proponent to put together some plans and images of how we believe the project could work. Mary, I understand, has the images. Are you're going to do screen shared, or you can walk through those? Or
I think you have the ability if you want to try.
Do you want me to too?
If you can, you can share the plans.
If you don't want to, I will. What we have anyways.
Mary, did you get the file I sent a little while ago? It's about 14 pages.
I believe so. I mean, there was a couple going back and forth, so I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, it was the most recent one. I think you got it there.
Okay.
Yep.
So I'm sure you're all familiar with the site. It's at the intersection of Ashby and Ridge State Road. It's about 3.5 acres inside. It is currently improved by an existing 2-story commercial building. These are images of the existing, here's the site close up from the site survey. You can see images this is looking as you approach the site from the west. And the lower one is as you approach the site from the east. To note, we do have a restriction with there being a 100-foot wide well restriction of which no structures can be located. We put together this little diagram. To show how we think the site could better be approached. The last alternative showed a greenhouse in the back of the site removed. It doesn't seem to us make a lot of sense to do that. Make much more sense to have the building be up. This is a footprint for a 10,000 square foot facility. We could link it to the existing structure. We can do a phased parking plan with as much parking as we need to the side, and then extend it to the back, across the site and to the back. we don't believe it makes a lot of sense to try and utilize this uh, uh, western edge of the site because of the restrictions of access and also butters. This is a diagram of the plan that was presented, I believe, last time. What we've added to this is to note that there would need to be a security zone to get into the retail space. You'd be waiting in security, one-way entrance, and then the retail showroom would take up this zone, and then an exit could come off the other end of the vestibule so that we can separate the incoming and outgoing traffic. Transaction room would be in this location where it could be passed through and brought out to counters that would probably be located within the retail area, and then a vault and delivery zone in the back. So this could be a standalone, and then the second floor can be used for manufacturing, processing, storage, gowning area to get into the clean zone for the manufacturing. One issue that we would have is it has to do with accessibility, and we'd have to deal with probably incorporating an exterior elevator in the back of the site, I would imagine, to get up, and then we have to deal with the interior stairs, but we think it's all manageable based on the volume of the existing structure. One other option would be to take the processing and locate it in the four section. Let me back up a second. So this is, so we've created a couple of massing images of how we think the building could, and amenities could be located on the site. We would do some minor modifications of the building to improve the entrance. Probably with replace the existing porch with more contemporary or new element, which you can see here and here. The building would be, the greenhouse, a 10,000 square foot greenhouse would be in about this area. It can be incorporated into some of the processing uses that it would be on the second floor of this building, so it could be potentially a phased development. Grow facilities, greenhouse grow facilities are standard of about 50 feet wide, and then extend in incremental basis as far as long or as far as we need it. Just back up for just a second. One thing to note is that with this footprint that we've laid it out, and with parking, with a driveway to get to the back of the site, there's still plenty of room to get that facility in there and stay out of that well-drilled zone. Here's another view of the potential massing and site layout and parking. Again, we think that it makes sense to have all of the activities over here on the eastern section of the site as far as circulation goes and wrap around the back. We could, if needed to, bring restricted or dedicated loading back up the back into this area and potentially off the front, but we think it makes a lot more sense to nicely landscape this edge, particularly along the street. And would create a much more pleasant view from the street. The elevation to kind of show the relationship of the massing. And then here's some images. This is actually not on the street, but a little bit inland. Can show you again the relationship from the ground plane of how the site could get laid out. We would do much more significant landscaping along the edges to help do some additional screening, particularly of the greenhouse, but we've restricted the landscaping a bit so you can see the structures. As you enter the site from Ridge State Road, this will be the image that you would see with parking on the side, and entrance, portico or porch, and the main building. There would probably be could be a freestanding sign up in this location, but more likely back in this corner, a low ground sign that would provide some additional description. Here, we probably would do parking along this edge, but you get a sense of how the landscaping and paving could work to get access from the parking off into the building. Again, another image from the west, from the east looking west. There could be a secondary entrance off to the back of the building, emergency, but also dedicated for deliveries. This is from the back of the site at the southern end, looking to the north. And so those are some imagery that we put together that we think really shows how the existing building could be slightly modified, upgraded with some cosmetic finishes, and then how a new structure could get integrated to create a really nice growth facility in addition to the processing and retail. And open to answer any questions.
On that picture you have right there, if I come in the entrance, those two trees on the right-hand side, is there parking there?
The trees on the right-hand
Come
side
in,
of
no,
here.
the left side, then come in towards the building across
Oh,
that.
these here.
Is there parking there or not?
Right now, our conceptual diagram shows the opportunity for parking here, so the trees wouldn't go. We kind of just started working on this yesterday, so this is my sketch. The other diagrams were done by the other associate in our office who are working, so we kind of got to get a little bit better coordinated. But in my view, we probably would want to expand the parking and have phase one parking be in this zone, and then as the project expands, we can extend the parking on both sides to get as much as we would need. So yeah, it couldn't go, for short term, we think there may be some landscape trees in this area, but most probably would be better off surface green parking. And we push this parking farther, closer to the edge of the property.
Okay.
I have a question.
One second. I have one other question before I move it on to others. So, David, in your introduction, you mentioned at least 25 new jobs. How many people will be at the facility working at one time?
Well, at the store, probably it's retail store, 4 or 5. It could be 3 or 4 in the manufacturing, and another, 4 or 5 at a time in the cultivation. Probably 10 total employees. And we figured in, the other amount of cars for, any retail. There's room in the back actually for more employee parking.
All right, so
So there'll be different shifts of people, but at each shift it'd be about 10 people, so about 25 to 30 people total.
okay. So I'll open it up to questions from the marijuana review team first. Anyone have any questions?
I have a question. Is this going to be a sprinklered building?
It would have to be, yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, state building code would require it to be the commercial and the processing area to be sprinkled.
As a follow-up to that question, where is your cistern or your water, to support a sprinkler system?
To be determined, we'd have to bring a civil
Yes.
engineer on to size those activities.
Yeah, I think the water system there, the public supply actually would give plenty, there would be plenty of, available water for that. I don't think that's going to be an issue, but,
Yeah,
we'll obviously determine that.
Yeah, our plan hasn't advanced to the degree yet where we've located mechanical equipment and such, but there'd be water metering, potentially water pump. There may potentially be an emergency generator required, and then there'll be the other extraction products up on the activities up on the second floor. We're going to talk with David for sure to know the full scope. David, do you have planning on manufacturing or any kind of kitchen operation?
Could you go back to your ground plan? Yeah, that plan. I had 2 questions related to this. One is, I see your tree line is blocking your initial, and I assume that what you're showing is just your initial investment, and that the future development, which is in the back of the parking, is something that would be a future development. And my question concerns, your tree line is nice, but why right opposite those properties at the back south east side of that property are residential properties. They're housing units. And would you continue that masking line up there? And how would you plan on securing the back of your property as you develop it? That's my kind of, it's not a very good question. It's maybe a little confusing, but generally speaking, I'm just trying to understand how you're intending to develop in the rear of the property and how you intend to secure the rear of your the activities that you do in the rear of your property. And similar to that, in all three of your proposals, booklets, you have the exact same paragraph under design and construction. And so essentially saying that remodel a 5,000 foot building and anticipated $300,000 in cost. Is this this cost in this paragraph that's in all three of the proposals for the whole kit and caboodle, or what? It's kind of confusing because of the way it's presented.
Right, that's just for the retail building. Yeah, no, I apologize for that. That's for the retail building. The grow, the cultivation is a whole nother, a whole nother 9 yards. And but we figure at least about, with security, everything else in front, will be about, it could be up to 300,000 to, to get everything done for the retail building. Now, as far as the back, the back greenhouse part was originally what we had planned on, and then, it was moved to be connected with the building. So technically, although I don't think we're, at this point, we don't plan on building out back.
Okay.
That, and that's something, we'd go to the town, go to you later on and say, after things start in front, we'll look at it then, we'll visit it then. But basically we're looking to make, just the greenhouse and the retail store in front for now, and just keep it a concise unit. And as far as the vegetation, I wouldn't hold anyone to that, because number one, any vegetation cannot conceal the building where people could hide.
Right.
And that's one concern we will have. So just take that as, what it is for now. And we will actually, have more detailed renderings about what we're going to do and where. And as far as the greenhouse, we can definitely, we'll spend the money. And, if a neighbor feels that, it's an eyesore to them, we'll invest in some taller hedges to, to make sure they're happy. So,
so essentially the design and construction paragraph that you have really only applies to the retail presentation that you presented. Okay.
Yeah. The cultivation could be up to, $1 million. It's just a matter of which what we finally come out with. The technology is changing every day anyways. What we plan on now might change as the technology changes over the next 6 months. But, we have the plan on where we're at now and what we're going to do. And one thing we're definitely going to have, even for the rear of the property, is security. And, it's definitely going to be secure, north, south, east, and west sides of that property. That's one thing I've litigated that through my legal career, fire security, other types of security. And I've worked for a security company for many years. So
I would just recommend that presuming approval of this tonight and recommendation to go to the Board of Selectmen, that you make modifications to that in your proposals so that there's clarity about what's part of the development that you have planned as part of the retail versus the development that you have planned as part of cultivation and manufacturing. Because the other paragraphs, for example, in manufacturing and cultivation, should be modified to represent that back building that you're talking about constructing.
Okay,
I think
correct.
it would be interesting to get feedback on, it appears as though, forgive me because I haven't been out to see the site yet, we're just recently engaged, but it appears as though the back part of the site is pretty significantly wooded. I would think that by taking the grow facility and bringing it up to the front, we could leave much of the vegetation in the back, create a demilitarized zone, so to speak, in this area. So this area could remain all wooded and undisturbed. There could be a demilitarized zone here where there could be proper security and view of any activities around the building. So it might very well be received better by the selectmen if we, and abutters, to let them know that this part of the site, this section of the site is going to be undisturbed and a nice buffer zone between them and this facility.
And it doesn't prevent you from future development, so.
Right. Right. Absolutely. So-
Walter,
Yes,
Marshall, what page is the reference to your,
it's page 4 of the section on Operations Plan Exhibit D, page 4 on
oh, okay, I got
in
it.
all
Thanks.
3 documents.
Okay, and is it the same in all 3 documents?
It's the exact same in all 3 documents,
Well,
which confused
Yeah, I
me.
mean, that was my basic comment, is that there's nothing different between any of these documents really, other than the title page. And there's nothing different in the application that's dated February 25th than was included in any of the other material we received to date. So, anyway, a question, I have a few questions. Has the property been subdivided?
The Davids subdivide, yeah, they divided that property originally with one lot, and they have the east side as of now. You know, they would have the east side of the property.
Okay, but has your lot been subdivided officially from the rest of the lot?
From the rest of it, that's what I understand they did.
Yeah, I believe it was an A&R
The-
that came through. My memory might not be clear as to the date, but it seemed like it was about a year and a half ago, there was an A&R.
I checked on that. There's an A&R, but it never recorded with the Registry of Deeds as of a couple weeks ago.
Wow.
So I haven't checked again today, but we've got an issue with that needing to be cleared up before they can sell this.
Yeah,
Oh.
I remember signing off on it, but that was,
Yeah, but
it
it's not. been
passed the planning board, but why it isn't recorded, I can't explain.
Okay, all right, that's number one. And one of my other questions is, so you're saying that the 10,000 square foot greenhouse in the rear of the property may or may not ever happen?
No, the one in the very rear of the property,
Yeah.
that's what we were originally planning, and so we decided to move that behind the actual commercial store. So, I mean, down the road, another 10,000 square foot could happen if, you know, there'll obviously be permits we need from the town, and if the town thinks it's okay, we'll go forward with it. If not, we'll stay with what we have. You know, our original thoughts were to have a 10,000 square foot grow. If things go well and we can put another one behind there, great. The Davids also are thinking of selling the other side of the property, and something could happen there. You know, as of now, it would depend on, you know, what the town will allow us to do down the road. So, but now we're just looking at getting the first greenhouse up front instead of in the back, which makes a lot more sense, in getting the retail and the small manufacturing going.
Well, I guess my suggestion or comment related there too would be, why not put the well in the back and move the 10,000 square foot facility up behind the greenhouse processing facility? I mean, it seems why not consolidate the development rather than spread it out?
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that's a great idea. And yeah, I guess we could probably do that. You know, I wasn't sure if I did think about that. I wasn't sure. That's a great question, because that would solve a lot of our problems.
'Cause where you put the well, I mean, whether it's 100 feet one way or the other, water's going to be the same.
Right. But
Okay,
it's just yeah. Okay.
I'm sorry, so are you saying that that this well zone is not dictated? It could move back to the back here,
Yeah.
for instance?
why not?
Oh, okay. Yeah,
There,
so, true.
Oh, that'd be great.
All right, my other comment is, and maybe this is to Brian, has the presentation of, at the community outreach meeting, is that online on the town of Ashburnham's website?
I'll let Mary answer that. Should be available. Everything.
Yes.
should be
Yep.
open.
It is?
Yes, I believe all the outreach meetings, the community outreach meetings were posted. Because that was a
Okay.
while back.
Okay. Getting back at Walter's question, the developer of the adjacent parcel to the west has essentially denuded denuded the entirety of the property except for within 100 feet of a wetland, which is in the upper left-hand corner of their site. So all I'm saying is that Walter's comment about the landscaping and the trees, a house has gone up, is under construction, nearly finished. So any kind of development that you do behind the existing facility is going to need a fair bit of screening from that residential development.
Okay, that can be done. You know, that's, you know, anything to make other
That's in
people.
this, that's in this zone here.
I just, yeah, I wanted to
Yes.
comment too on just the as far as the manufacturing cultivation, I think, you know, those three pages were the same, but we did go into more detail with, you know, whoops, the manufacturing as far as, you know, the process and all that. And obviously when we get to the selectmen, you know, we'll have everything laid out exactly, our, you know, our cost analysis of everything by then. So that we already, you know, we already have, you know, pretty much most of that in detail anyways. So I you know, I don't think, you know, anything we need further, we can get it. So.
Yeah, I'm just saying all the trees you see on that adjacent lot don't exist anymore.
Right. Okay. Whatever we need to put up, we'll do it. You know, and I know one of the residents had concerns about, you know, seeing it from a distance, and you know, we're going to do everything we can to mitigate anything. But you know, I think when we're done, the property's going to look pretty good. So, and
All right,
I
then.
hope.
My final. I dare say my final. Don't. Yeah, I know. I'm looking at what the filing of February 25th. And, you know, I'm looking at the environmental impact study commentary that says enclosed report of Northland engineers, which is a one-page nothing. The EIS is component of this application is, I guess it's always me, is totally unresponsive. It doesn't follow the outline presented in the application form. And I can't believe that it would be neglected the way it was.
I'm sorry, what was missing there? I missed.
The environmental impact statement is non-existent.
Okay, I believe we had another inspection done, which we have the results. The other fuller inspection that was not just Northland engineers. Maybe you're not seeing that, or I know it was included at some point. And I will check again to make sure you have that.
It wasn't included in the previous submittals, and it's sure as hell not included in this one.
Okay, that there was, you know, a greater degree of inspection done. Now, as far as any environmental impact, with the way I looked at it, and I don't have it in front of me, I don't think the initial application asked for anything in great deal. And I'm not saying I'm correct. And I'm going to look as soon as we get off of here, obviously. But I did not see where, you know, where that, you know, where the, you know, where they needed a full environmental impact study.
Well, per the application you submitted, it says,
Yeah.
please submit an EIS in conformance with the outlined / table of contents as attachment A of this application. Well,
Right.
that
I
hasn't
like-
been done.
Like I said, I don't have that in front of me, so I need to address.
So as far as I'm concerned, the application is incomplete.
Okay, well, I maybe should like to take a look at that for a second because I thought we we addressed everything that was in there as far as I did not, like I said, did not see anything in the initial application request that asked for a full environmental impact study, and I got to take a look at that again. But I didn't read that as that.
It's online.
Yeah, no, I have it on my computer, but as a fact, where I'm at right now, I don't have it in front of me. So the Zoom works better on my phone. That's why I'm on here. But I believe we addressed everything in the application that was asked for, and I honestly don't recall them asking for a full environmental impact study. But we did send, there was another inspection done. So.
Well, I don't know what you mean by inspection, but it's probably moot anyway. The fact is that there's an outline for an EIS and, it's just not included nor completed. So I'll leave it at that.
I apparently need to look at that. I'd like to look at it now because I was under the understanding that we provided all the information we needed as for this actual, step in the process. Yes.
David, what you did provide was Exhibit F. And it's, as Marshall referenced, it's a letter from Northland Engineers dated June 28th, 2020. And it's regarding installation of a 5,000 gallon holding tank for disposal of waste and such.
No, there was one done in earlier in the year. There was a full inspection done of the whole property, and I think they addressed some environmental impacts as well. And that was done. I don't have it in front of me. That's the thing. Apologize, but I did send it to Mary, I think yesterday. Again, I did send it again this morning. But
We don't have anything other than that from the original document.
okay. All right. No, I mean, if there's something more we need, we'll get it. Like I said, from my reading of it, I thought we had submitted everything we needed to submit. So, and I don't have the actual application outline in front of me. And if I can pull out my computer, I can. But
Mary, do you have anything else?
I don't recall, I believe I sent everything out that was sent to me.
Yeah, okay.
let me,
I mean, if it was something done last January, I don't recall.
Yeah,
hang on one second here. Let me see if I can pull it up on the email.
Yeah. Mary sent out the diagrams.
Mhm.
She sent out the the electronic copy of the application,
Mhm.
but we don't have any additional, nothing in what Mary sent included the environmental report.
Okay, hang on one second here.
I mean, a letter from Northland says that, the applicant, the 10,000 square foot greenhouse for cultivation marijuana above state property shall have no increased environmental impact. And then it mentioned the holding tank, greenhouse use not absorbed by growth process per state guidelines. That was the original one that they had sent us back
Last
in September.
August.
Yeah. No, with you, Marshall, but I'm just referencing, there was something sent with the original one. We're just looking for more update and more detail, correct, Marshall?
Yeah, I've seen nothing other than that one letter.
No, there was something before that back in, when they did the initial inspection. And I'm looking for, I thought I sent it to Mary.
So the letter also said the existing septic system installed for the restaurant was more than adequate, ample storage for the retail store for past. That's pretty much all the letter says, kind of what I just read to you.
Okay, if we need, there was an original like 20-page or 10-page inspection with photographs. I did that, send that to Mary, and I don't know if that has everything you needed, but I did send that. That was submitted before. Okay, okay, I see what you're talking about on there in conformance with the outline table of contents as attachment A of the MRT form. I think I looked at our initial, the initial inspection. I thought it covered what they were what they're initially looking for. But if we need to get that done, we'll get it done. Like I said, we're not here to fight. We're here to, and we're not here to try and get out of doing our due diligence. So whatever we need to do, we'll get it done. If we didn't give you enough, we'll get it. That's the way it should be. But I don't actually have the paragraph 4. I mean, the exhibit A in front of me. That I don't have. But if you're looking at what you have, I mean, if it's, I believe I sent the other inspection, and they actually, went into what was in the well and everything else, and about runoff, and I don't know why, that's not there.
Okay.
Because I did send it, and I sent it again. That's the only.
All right, well, it's really just a question for the team to decide whether they're
But I need,
want to move forward at this point, or they want to wait.
Well, can I ask Brian a question? Is it, since this is really sort of the first time second time, but, first time with something this major, particularly on a retail one, can we provide a vote of conditional approval? Meaning conditional that, clarity be, that this additional environmental report be added to the documentation, presuming that I mean, I'm not anticipating, personally, I'm not an expert in this, but I'm not anticipating a major environmental impact issue with this project. And then conditional upon providing that material and conditional upon clarification of their design and construction development that they have in their reports that are the same in all 3 reports, yet they're different in all 3 reports. They should be different. But with those 2 clarifications, unless others have other thing, I'd be okay with putting it in your hands, Brian, because the bottom line is the next step is you're in the select board's hands with regards to negotiating a community host agreement.
Sure.
Right.
I don't know if others feel differently, please. I know,
What my thought is we can make, allow me to move forward with the host agreement with those conditions. However, before signing off on the host agreement, we'll meet before then. It's going to take a couple weeks and stuff before we get that through legal. Give him a chance to get that environmental impact to us and then vote at that point in time before I give it to the Board of Selectmen.
Okay. But you know better than me, that's for sure.
All right, I have two comments. I personally find it annoying that in the application materials that have been submitted since last August, and including the most recent one. The response to the community outreach meeting is that the applicant hereby requests the MRT coordinate a community outreach meeting. At the meeting, the applicant will present. I mean, if it's already been done, why does the application say that?
I'm sorry.
What,
Well, if it's already been done, why are you requesting in the application to schedule an outreach meeting? Didn't anybody look at it?
Because that's what was asked, done in the beginning. So I guess we should have altered that language after we were asked to submit it after the meeting. That was done when we were asked to do it prior to the community outreach meeting, which I did say at that time we needed to actually submit it after, but we didn't switch the language when we resubmitted it after. So that's probably where that comes from.
No, I know where it comes from. And the second thing is, this goes to the committee, to the review team, is that how much information do you want to do without before you make a recommendation to the Board of Selectmen? Is it just the EIS? Is there some other set of information you're comfortable in not reviewing before you recommend it to the board? Where do we draw the line?
well, we have reviewed, you know what I mean? It's not, Walt has a thing where they just copied and pasted a section, and obviously they just changed the date and resubmitted the application. But there's a lot of substantial document that they did give us, for sure.
Well,
The EIS is concerning, but again, we all, we know the site, but my thing is, we want to keep things moving forward. I'm not looking to approve everything, but, we want to keep things moving forward also, Marshall.
I understand, but when the next application comes along and they don't have the EIS, and they don't have a few other things, and then the next one comes along, but we move that one ahead too, and okay, they don't have this, that, but that's okay. I mean,
Can I ask a question? And again, forgive me because I'm new to the project, but an ENF would be required before determination of an EIS is made. An ENF, I think, would show that this project doesn't have enough of an impact relative to manufacturing or use of water or vehicular activity, then an EIS would be required.
well, that's pursuant to the Mass Environmental Policy Act, not pursuant to the marijuana bylaw from the town of Ashburnham. So I understand that, and you're correct in that regard. But again, I mean, the rules are the rules. You want to, soften them just for the sake of moving ahead. That's fine. I'm only one vote, but I'm just wondering what lies down the road, and what else you feel comfortable doing without before you make a recommendation to the select board. That's all. I'm done.
I didn't get the impression we were softening them. I got the impression, Brian, if I'm correct, that we're pushing forward, but nothing's going to be signed or given to the select board until the EIS is completed. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right.
Well, and as I noted there, I mean, I really do empathize with what Marshall is saying. I want to, lend my support to him in that way, because if I am recalling the process appropriately, when they first presented these three facilities, they had these three rather large books that were largely duplicative. And we went through a conversation. We said, hey, you're submitting your application before you've had the community host. You're really supposed to submit the community, the agreement after the community, after you've had your community meeting. So we approved them going forward with the community meeting. But as I recall from that meeting, we gave them some notes about the repetitiveness of the proposals, about needing. In fact, Marshall even mentioned at that time about needing an environmental impact study, if I'm remembering correctly. And so today we sort of expected, in fact, when Mary sent out the electronic application, I immediately went to see, okay, what's changed from their original application? And what I learned is nothing has changed
Nothing.
since their original application. So I understand Marshall's frustration here because we had some criticisms of the initial application about the redundancy of them and that they didn't necessarily connect and apply. And I just pointed out one kind of obvious one, which was the design and construction section in Exhibit D. And there was no change. So if we're going to go through this process and we're not sending it to the select board and we want to try to do this right, then it's fair for, you know, Dave to take these comments and, you know, correct it in that way, look at this thing, correct it, get it back to us, and it can go forward. But in terms, the only thing I would sort of say to in support of them in this regard is that, hey, we are still finding our own way. We, meaning this committee, are still finding our own way in how we tell people how to put an application forward. And we need to be clearer at the beginning as to what needs to happen. And frankly, most of what's in here, while it's not presented the way I think it should be presented, I don't have an objection to. And I do sense the need that we don't want to be overly bureaucratic in this. We want this to happen. We want to support it. I do anyway. I can't speak for everybody else here on the committee, but this seems to be a reasonable and appropriate use for that particular property. And trying to move it forward, I think, is in everybody's best interest. But I think Marshall's comments should be considered.
And the only other comment I have is that, you know, whether it's the ZBA, Planning Board, Conservation Commission, whatever, you know, I think most of our regulations say that, you know, an application will not be considered until all the materials are submitted and the application is deemed complete. Well, you know, in this particular case, that's not where we're at. So I mean, we just did it with Green Ventures. You know, we sent them back because to get more data, and they did include an EIS, and the information we thought was a bit lacking. We sent them back. They came back. You know, results weren't great, but that's not material to this discussion. The fact is that here we have one that doesn't even have an EIS in accordance with the outline prescribed on our website. And I mean, I also understand, you know, that we don't want to be overly bureaucratic, but, you know, the material online is extremely straightforward, extremely simplistic. And, you know, why it's, you know, not followed is just beyond me.
Marshall, understand it. Like I said, you know, I went back to the original Exhibit F. I'm not an expert in the environmental impact study. That's why I'm glad you're on the board, and I'm glad for your comments. You know, I have no problem asking for that information. Again, so how long do you think it would take to get that information, David?
The study done?
Be able to answer the outline as the questions are on the application.
Oh, I would say hopefully less than a couple of weeks, unless they have to wait for the snow to melt, which apparently it is. So as quick, as soon as possible. And I never want to say promise, when I don't exactly can tell the future, but I would say within a couple of weeks we can get it done, weather permitting. And I think with that part of it shouldn't be too hard to get someone to do that, as where it's been harder to get other people to do other things, as far as finding the right contractors. That's something, we have talked to a couple people before, and I thought, they did a preliminary thing. So I'd say a couple weeks, hopefully 2 to 3 weeks, hopefully sooner. I'm gonna hopefully sooner. If we needed to, what we need, to what extent we need to do, if we need to do a full studies, because that, I'm not the expert, so I can't say exactly how long that would take. But
Let me just say that the EIS outline, which we prepared, it's not onerous. It can be done, in a couple of days.
Okay.
It's really not. We're not asking you it doesn't ask you to, go into really. It just asks you to address these issues to the extent that they're known at the current time.
right. Okay. And like, yeah, okay. I know, I totally understand. And I totally, agree. And when I did look at everything before, I thought we were all set, but I'm obviously gonna look at it again, and my mistake. And we'll get it done, whatever we need to get done.
Can I ask for one other small thing? A table of contents.
Oh,
I've been really struggling trying to flip through and find stuff in here. And on all 3 of your applications, a table of contents would help.
Okay, great. And a lot of the stuff is repetitive because they ask for all the safety stuff. I'm gonna try, and I can do an addendum as well. I'll do the table of contents for that, but I can do an addendum too. And we want to get in a lot more detail as far as expenses, costs, and all that for the other 2 projects. And so, I will definitely put something more concise together for y'all. And I think, maybe I could have everything done by next Tuesday.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So, but we want to, like I
You
said,
know
we just work with y'all. So,
All right, so David, why don't you send us an update, if you can, by the end of the week where you're looking for that, and see if I can't schedule a meeting for the end of next week with this team again to move it forward. In the meantime, what I'll do is I'll get some preliminary host stuff going so that hopefully once this is done, it can be a quick turnover. The Board of Selectmen, I'm looking to try to get it on the agenda for April 5th. They meet the 15th and then they don't meet again till April 5th.
okay.
So we have a little bit of time, but again, if we can get it to us, just give me an update. If we can schedule
Okay.
something next week or early the week after, it would give me, I need to get it on the agenda before, the 24th. So, if you get it done for next week, we can get a meeting and hopefully we can get a host community agreement between you and I quickly through legal and then get it to their agenda on the 5th. That'll be the fastest possible. Okay.
That'd be great.
And
I will.
if it's not the 5th, the next meeting's the 19th of April. Okay.
Well, we will do everything we can to get everything done right away. So.
Marijuana review team, anyone have any comments, questions regarding not moving the application forward and holding for further information?
I'd just like to say, Brian, I understand Marshall's point of view that the application needs to be complete. If it was going to be a month out, I think I might go in a different direction and want to move ahead with it. But I think that if David can get this information within the next week or so, and we can try to schedule a meeting for the end of next week, I don't think that that's a huge delay in the grand scheme of things. So I think that I could go along with Marshall's idea that we wait until we have a completed environmental impact study before we move ahead.
Okay. You want to take that as a motion to wait?
I don't think you.
Do I need to do a motion to wait, Mary, or can I just put it on hold?
No, you can just put it on hold. I'll make the notes in the minutes.
Okay. Anyone have any comments regarding holding it for further information? All right, seeing none.
Move for adjournment.
Not yet, soon. All right. So David, why don't you grab that? If you have any questions, David, send it to my office. We'll forward it to Marshall or whoever needs to get the questions answered to you. So that you're not wasting your time running around looking for information we don't need. And Marshall, like I said, he's our conservation guy. He's the expert in that field for us. So he'll explain what he's looking for if that's good enough. Marshall, you agree with that?
Indeed.
Okay.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Excellent. All right. Thank you. So let's hold that till the next meeting, Mary, and
Yep.
move on to the next item on the agenda. That's approval of the 2024, 2021 minutes. Has everyone had a chance to look them over?
So I'm exiting. Thank you, gentlemen, for your
Yes.
time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you both. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Welcome. So being that, I'll be looking for a motion to approve the minutes from February 24th, 2021.
Oh, so be it. So moved.
Thank you, Marshall.
Get a second
Indeed.
on that? Does someone need to second that, Mary? Right?
You seconding it, Brian?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Okay, I'll do a roll call. Walt?
I'm going to abstain because I haven't read them, but that's okay.
Okay, Randy?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Marshall?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Thank you.
And Brian, yes, Mary.
Oh, sorry, Brian.
That's fine. All right, so thank you for that. So the last item I have on other business is just an update. So Green Ventures has scheduled their community outreach meeting for March 30th at 5:30 p.m. Legal counsel did let us know that it is okay to move forward with the host community agreement. And after that community outreach meeting, we can move forward to the Board of Selectmen with that. Anyone have any comments on that?
March 30th at what time?
5:30 p.m.
Via Zoom.
It's a Zoom meeting, correct? All right, seeing no other further discussion. Anyone have anything else they want to talk about?
Brian, should we attend any of that or no?
You don't have to do the community outreach meeting. You can watch it by Zoom or watch it after. You know, that's
Okay.
fine. Those are
Thank
recorded. You're welcome.
I have, I hope, a pretty quick question. I was just trying to understand the rules and how the bylaw works. I apologize, the lights turned out on me and I can't turn them from here.
It's
So
gonna happen.
it's looking like I'm in, yeah. It's getting darker and darker as the light from the window fades. But Eve O'Connor was sent to the planning board for a special permit to change the buffer required to the park. And it looks like the planning board then sent it to the ZBA for that. And it specifically says that the planning board is the special permit granting authority for changes to the buffer. And I'm just trying to make sure I understand the procedures here, because it sounds like the planning board just punted it to the ZBA, and I don't understand why.
Sarah,
That was early in my tenure on the planning board, but I thought we approved it. But I would have to go back to the minutes because I don't remember. I remember us considering it. And it was, like I said, in my first year on the planning board, and I was, just sort of following in step. I do remember some confusion over that, but I thought we approved it.
So
Sarah, Sarah, excuse me. I think that they were looking for a variance, if my memory serves me right.
Maybe that was it.
I don't think
Well,
that
it
was a
says,
special permit we heard. I think it was a variance for that. You know,
there is
zoning board of
language about
appeals-
granting a variance, but there's language in the law about a special permit for changing the buffers. So, and that was the rationale that was used. So I'm a little confused. Heather and I were trying to come up with an application form for the special permit from the Board of Selectmen today, for the special permit that's required for marijuana facilities. And so we were trying to think of things that should go on that form. And this came up, and I looked at it and said, this is a planning board thing. And she said, but they sent it to ZBA for Evocana. So she pulled the file, and then I was wanting to just get some clarification so that we know for the future what the procedures are.
I'm not looking at it right now, Sarah, but I know that the only board that can hear variances is the zoning board. And I can't remember the reason, and I'm not looking at the application in front of me, but I believe that they came in front of us for a variance for, I thought it was being too close to the park, but I'm not. Like I say, I'm not looking at it right now, but I think that was that wasn't a special permit. It was for a variance.
Yeah, that might explain it, Dave, because I know we had a conversation about at the meeting about, is this a special permit or is this a variance? You know, how does it qualify? But I think Roger thought it was a variance, which is why it ended up getting kicked to you.
Yeah, that's the way that I'm remembering it, but again, I'm not looking at it, but I think that's what it was. It wasn't a special permit that was required. It was a variance that was required.
Thanks for your recollections. I'll see more of the file tomorrow. Heather just pulled out she pulled out the variance decision, but not the history yet.
Okay. All right, so look at it from that angle and see if it fits or where it fits. And we'll move it forward. Okay. Anyone have any other business?
Brian, I just wanted to tell you that I've been in touch with my contact person, Alex, at the Grow Center down in Fitchburg. I sent them some information the other day about how many people are actually on the board, and I'm waiting for him to send me an email back. He had called me last week and wanted to know if we could do it this week, but I thought that was a little bit too close because it would have been before our meeting tonight. But I am still in contact working with him. I explained to him that there was 12 to 13 members on this board, so we all obviously couldn't go at one time. And he's trying to work out the details of that, of how to split this up so it's not disrupting his business. I don't expect him to do 3 tours right in a row for us. That he wouldn't have time to do anything else all day except deal with us. So I'm trying to put it off a week or so in between tours because I want to tone it down to about 6 people a meeting to stay within the COVID regulations. But I am still working on that and still making forward progress.
Excellent, Dave. Thank you. And again, if he only wants to do 1 tour and says, look, we'll just do 1 at a time and see how it goes, we'll send 3 or 4 people, see what happens, and they can report back to us and tell us what they thought. I don't have a problem with that.
Okay, excellent. I'll let you know how I'm progressing along with that.
Sure. Any eyes in there are better than than anybody's. So I just assume get someone's opinion on it. Anyone have anything else? If not, I'd be looking for a motion.
I'll move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made and second to adjourn. Do I need to
Walt?
vote?
Yes.
Randy,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Brian.
Yes.
I think I got y'all.
Excellent.
Good
Thank you
night,
all.
everyone.
Appreciate it. And we'll see you soon.
Good night.
Okay.
Good night.
Bye-bye.